Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Flying Scorpion, and holy smokes, it's Friday, and I don't have a video prepared for tomorrow. Okay, let's get one ready today. So, I started working lately, haven't had a lot of time to record stuff, but I've had enough time to play, that's for sure. Yesterday, I spent about 5 or 6 hours, I think, theory crafting my next freeze build, a character that I think, in theory, should be able to freeze red tier map bosses even if they have like some ridiculous amount of health, like 200 million HP. They can this build should still be able to freeze. It would only be like a micro freeze, but still, like 200 million health is a lot. And this thing can. I don't think there's actually anything in the game with that much health that doesn't have a minimum action speed threshold. So like Shaper or Cirrus, for example, you can't actually freeze those bosses, you can only slow them down. But anyway, that'll be for some other video. It's all theory, it's not actually tested or done yet. In the background footage, I am playing a Necromancer, and I finally have caved into the meta, which is going to be the title of this video, finally caving into the meta. All of these years that I played Path of Exile, I've made my own builds without even really looking at other people's build guides. And the meta has changed, and so much has changed, and it's hard to keep up with the amount of damage necessary for the super top end bosses when you're not really looking at what's going on in the meta. So I finally caved in. I started looking at the meta more. I started looking at PoE.Ninja at the top builds. Made an attempt to make the Cast On Crit Cyclone Ascendant build that does massive damage that a lot of people are using, but that build is a bit expensive, and I don't have all the stuff needed really to make that build work yet. So in the meantime, I copied this Necromancer build from Path of Exile Builds YouTube. You can find it. I'll see if I can get the logo or a picture of the YouTube channel. Maybe I'll put a link down below. That channel definitely deserves worth checking out if you play Path of Exile and you haven't heard of it, but I bet you probably have. And the build just works. So why did I make this build? Well, I still like the Freeze Mage. My Freeze characters are fun to play, but they suck at killing bosses. And it's not that they can't kill bosses, it's just that it takes a long ass time. I had a Metamorph encounter that took like 10 or 15 minutes or something, and it wasn't even like it was an intense fight. It was pretty much just me just standing there casting the same spells again and again while it like chipped me every once in a while and I regenerated the health back. It was just this slow chipping away and taking it down. If I come across enemies with regen, and I've been avoiding that, I might not be able to kill them with that build, plain and simple. So, most of the time, it's pretty easy to find other people to team up with to play the game. Like, as you can see in the background footage, I'm playing with somebody else, a random person I met in Standard League, and that's a lot of fun. It really is a lot of fun teaming up with people, but there isn't always someone available, and so I need to have a boss-killing build for when that comes up. If there's no one available and I'm up against a super tough boss, and you know, I want to be able to just log out, switch to a character that can actually kill a boss, and then kill the boss, and then maybe go back to playing the other character again. So that's what this is. The Necromancer is a really good character to play for killing bosses, because once you've got all of those minions converging on a single target, they just absolutely destroy. The single target DPS is so huge on a minion build like this. I'm using Veil Summon Skeletons, and I think when that skill is maxed out, when you cast it twice in a row and the minions are still there from the last cast, I think you can get up to like 60 plus minions in total if you combine all of the stuff. It might even be more than that. It's like 40 something plus, yeah, it might even be like over 70 minions, but it's a lot of minions. So generally speaking, this build is working great. Except when it's not, and when it's not working great, it's like, it seriously falls off a cliff. It's basically the build is working great, and then when it's not working great, it just tanks. And when it's not working great, It's when the minions die. And the thing is, once you have minions dying, it really quickly drops off. Unless you just lose like a couple here and there, or the occasional specter. Losing the occasional specter is not too bad. You can summon a new specter. But once the zombies start going down, yeah, it drops off fast. So I've been running it. Today I ran this build in tier 15, I think some tier 16, one tier 16 map, or a couple. It worked great. You saw the mods at the beginning of the video for the map that is in the background footage. It's level 80 something, so it's up there a bit. Not super hard, but good return on investment, good value. And I need that value to make this ice mage that I've been talking about, or this. It's not going to be a mage anymore. It'll be a melee ice character that uses Glacial Hammer. You know, I've only been talking for 6 minutes, so we'll get into the detail on this Glacial Hammer idea. So, Glacial Hammer has this added effect where it will freeze on every third hit as if you did 390% more damage. So you're not actually doing 390% more damage. That's an insane damage multiplier. It's just that you freeze as if you did that much more damage. And the great thing about more damage multipliers is that they multiply together very well to create these huge spikes in numbers. So if you combine that with, I can't remember the name of these gloves, I'll put them up on the screen here. These gloves that give you the same type of effect. Non-damaging status ailments are applied as if you dealt 100 to 200% more damage. Obviously you want to roll as high as you can, as close to 200%. If you had 200% times 390% more damage, that would be, oh, I don't know, it'd be a fair bit. It'd be a fair bit more. Then once you put that together with Expedition's End, which gives you an extra 75% more, or sorry, 50 to 100% more freeze, you wind up with millions of, not really damage, but like points towards the freeze effect. Based on what I've been reading around online, it seems like most map bosses, ailment threshold is about half of what their HP is. And I don't know if I should really get into the full details on that. That might be something for another video on how freeze actually works, because it's a bit of a complicated mechanic. Whatever, let's just get into it. I'll make this a 10-minute video and then I'll stop. So in 2 minutes or less, let's explain. You have the amount of hit points that the character has, and then you have the amount of cold damage you do, or damage that contributes towards freezing. If you do 50% of their health in a single hit, that's cold damage through like a crit or a freezing hit or something, the enemy will be frozen for 3 seconds with no modifiers involved in that. As soon as you start adding modifiers, you don't have to hit them for as much damage to freeze them. You can hit them for like 10% of their life and still freeze them for 3 seconds, for example. And that's basically what those more multipliers do. The other thing to point out is that it's not exactly the health that's you're comparing your damage to. It's their ailment threshold, and their ailment threshold is usually about 50% of what their health is. So if the enemy has 20 million HP and 10 million ailment threshold, you only need to do about 5 million cold damage in a freezing hit to freeze them for 3 seconds, outside of any modifiers beyond that. Once you get all the modifiers added up, with the way that I've been planning this build, it only has like 300,000 DPS, but it freezes every third hit, if it manages to get a freeze, as if it did like 5 million damage in a single hit. And that should be enough to freeze most red tier map bosses. But it's a bit of an expensive build. I need to get Expedition's End, so I've been grinding heists to try and get it. So far, haven't gotten it, but just keep at it. You know, the thing too is if I don't get it, heist pays so well that you can probably just buy it after running enough heists. That's one of the nice things about the fact that it drops in heists. So yeah, 20 seconds left. I think I'm gonna stop here. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.